Good weekend to you. Welcome to Leading Edge. Good to have you folks along with us today. Ahead, the second challenger to Toledo's mayor in this fall's election joins us 1 week after candidate Carly Finkbeiner made news on this program. Jan Scotland, Republican, on his vision for our city. That's ahead. But first, the Blade headline screamed the word mayhem in its early week edition. Mayhem? Well, yeah, that is one word for 4 shootings over last week, including a double homicide, 3 other incidents leaving people injured. As reported, Toledo is on pace to set records for murders and gun violence for the second year in a row. Now, what's going on and what can be done about it? I want to welcome in Jojuan Armour, who the city hired earlier this year as the he likes to call himself, I like this too, program manager to reduce violence. City calls him commissioner of something or other. On this program, I've referred to him as the violent crime czar. Whatever you call him, Jojuan Armour has a lot on his plate. Thanks for joining us. I know, Jojuan, you hustled out to one of the scenes last weekend when shots were being fired. What is the city doing, or what should it be doing that it's not doing, to stop the deadly violence?
Hey, Jerry, thanks for having me. Well, there's a lot of initiatives going on right now to address, what we're seeing in the city. There's a lot that has been done in my 5 months of being on the job. We already identified relationships with community organizations that are doing the work, making myself familiar with these organizations and the community in my role and my responsibility, and also my expectations and what we're trying to achieve. Working with Cure Violence Global, national organization. We just had our first meeting with Toledo Police Department and Cure Violence, just to understand, so we're all on the same page regarding the expectations of what we want to achieve. Cure Violence's role in that goal, in achieving those goals, the hiring of our violence interrupters. So a lot of things are being done currently. Social emotional learning is a huge aspect as we learn now more so than ever. The perpetrators of violence, gun violence, are younger than they were in the past. So having individuals, young people, being able to identify emotions that they're going through, identify the emotions of other people, having skills like de-escalation, coping skills can be pivotal in kind of in making these critical decisions to grab guns and firearms. And so educating kids, because these skills aren't inherent to individuals just to know, or in some households they're not being taught. So having individuals and young people being able to identify emotions, work through incidents, and develop coping skills will definitely be beneficial in identifying what we're seeing.
I know there will be skeptics, and you probably hear from them time to time, email, phones, or otherwise, that are saying, yeah, that all sounds good. But you know what? The violence is now. Put it this way. On the program last week, Jojuan, former Mayor Carly Finkbeiner talked about his approach that would include a large combined police presence, police in sheriff's deputies, federal people, ATF, FBI, whatever, youth curfew, gun buybacks, and some programs like hiring more of these young people, giving them positive things to do with the reward out there. He said, in essence, Jerry, it's worked before, it worked for us, but would that work now, Jojuan?
I think components of that will absolutely work. I think I am a fan of curfew. During the July 4th incident, I was out there till about 2:30 a.m. and I seen kids, that under the age of 12 years old, which some were carrying smaller children. So which means that they were probably babysitting, left the house, and brought the younger child with them. And so I think curfew would definitely be impactful. Some of those things I definitely will definitely help. But I know that the increased law enforcement is not the only answer. That's not the absolute answer. It has to be community involvement. If anybody feels that there's one answer, one solution, they would be wrong, to be frank. So this requires the effort on the community, stakeholders in the community, as well as law enforcement. And without that understanding of the totality of what we're dealing with, it would not, I don't think it'll be effective.
When you talk about totality of what we're dealing with, it seems to me, and again, I'm just a news guy, I've been watching this stuff for decades. Gun violence is born of circumstances. I'm a young person. I need money. I don't have any money. I need money, but I know if I rob somebody, I can get some. My life, look around me. My life stinks at this point. So threat of going to prison, to me, really isn't a deterrent. Well, I've got to shoot them before they shoot me, or because they shot my brother, don't a myriad of circumstances have to be addressed and to change and fixed before the shooting stops?
Yeah, and I like the words it is a myriad of circumstances. It is a multitude of things. And that's why the approach has to be comprehensive across the board. And it has to be strategically planned. If anybody think they can go in with one solid answer, they will be rich, because that would be the tool to decrease gun violence across the United States, where it's on the rise everywhere. And so because it is a multifaceted issue, the approach has to be multifaceted. Gun violence is not always perpetuated by incidents of retaliation.
Yeah.
You know, we have accidental shootings, we have suicide, we have shootings that are a result of domestic violence. So it's not all in regards to money or finances. It's in regards to understanding relationships. We've had incidents of violence over women. We've had women perpetuate incidents of violence. And so, you know, because the issue is so multifaceted, there is not one answer. The approach in addressing it has to be just as multifaceted.
Let's do this. It is multifaceted. Here's one thing that is consistent in gun violence. It involves guns. Where are they all coming from? Is there something we can do with that? There's much more to get into. He is Jojuan Armour. He is in charge of addressing gun violence, which is out of control in our city. Oh, but also elsewhere. We'll talk about that as well when Leading Edge returns.